Hey, this is Ken for the Information Nation. I'm bringing you more stuff. About a month ago, I did a video, posted it. Let's see. Big Pharma buys the DEA, I think it was called. And I want to do a follow-up on that. And here we have Medical Jane. Nice website. I'm going to put the link down in the description below so you can access this article. It's quite interesting. 3 different cannabinoid-based medicines approved by the FDA. And guess what? They're all synthetic. You know, I've been saying for a while now that these scumbag pharmaceutical companies were going to do this. Make it synthetic so they could make money. Make me the money, honey. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is aware that cannabis and cannabis-derived products are being used for a number of medical conditions, such as AIDS, age-wasting syndrome, epilepsy, neuropathic pain, treatment of spastically associated with multiple sclerosis and cancer, and chemotherapy-induced nausea. Gee, I thought the DEA says it has no medical benefits. I think our government ought to get its head out of its keister. Despite the fact that the FDA has not yet approved a marketing application for a drug product containing or derived from a whole cannabis plant, it has, however, approved 3 cannabinoid-based medicines derived from isolated synthetics: Marinol, Syndrose, and Sesamet. Marinol and Syndrose include the active ingredient Dabinol. How the heck did they got a brain? Dronabinol. We'll get it right yet, don't worry. You know, can't say cannabis, got to have all these fancy words. Dronabinol. Which is a synthetic delta-9 THC. Includes the active ingredient Sesamet. Includes the active ingredient nabilone, which is synthetically derived and has a chemical structure similar to THC. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about this. Like I say, I'll put the article, the link to the article down in the description. But here's the thing. Here's the main thing. Marinol is a brand name for an oral form of dronabinol. It is indicated by treatment of anorexia associated with weight loss in patients with AIDS and nausea and vomiting associated with cancer chemotherapy in patients who have failed to respond adequately to convention antimetric treatments. And here's the thing that's very interesting with this. You come down here, and like I say, if you want to read more about this, it's all going to be in the description. Marinol capsules contain sesame seed oil and should never be used by patients with allergic to such. Oh, that's good. And seizure-like activities have been reported in patients receiving Marinol capsules. Oh, that's good. Patients with cardiac disorders, which I happen to be one, should use precaution because possible occasional hypotension and possible hypertension, syncope, and tachycardia. Oh, that's good. Marinol can be addictive, so the capsules should be used with caution in patients with a history of substance abuse, including alcohol abuse, dependency, because they may be more prone to abuse of Marinol and well. Oh, well, that's good. You don't have any of this with cannabis. You know, they're pushing these synthetics just like they're pushing GMOs. A lot of countries in the world have banned GMO crops. They don't want them because they know the human body is not meant to take on these synthetics and these genetically modified food. You weren't designed that way. You weren't built that way. And I'll give you an example. I give you a little experiment you can try on your own at home. And it's not an expensive experiment. Go out and buy some sugar-free gum. Or one of these, just buy any gum that has synthetic sugars in it. Chew it and drop it by an anthill. And you will find out the ants will go around it. They will not bother with it. But if you take a regular piece of gum, like Juicy Fruit, or not to be a name dropper there, any normal gum, and chew it and drop it there, the ants will swarm to it because it's got natural stuff in there. Even ants apparently are smarter than these idiots at the pharmaceutical companies. Why do we have to have this? Why do we have to have pharmaceutical companies making something similar to what we can get out of nature? That's like me handing you an apple and you bite into it and you say, hey, this is a fake apple. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's good. It's a plaster apple. That's okay. It looks like an apple, doesn't it? Doesn't it taste like an apple? They're doing this to us people for nothing more than money while your loved ones suffer and die. And I've told you before, I'm pissed about this. I watched my wife fight cancer for 20 months and die because I couldn't get the proper medication because the DEA put it on Schedule 1. Assholes. Let's see what else we have here. Marinol capsules should be used with caution in elderly patients because they may be more sensitive to the neurological, psychoactive, and postural hypotensive effects of the drug. Look at that. Patients using Marinol capsules should be advised of possible changes in mood and other adverse behavioral effects of the drug, so to avoid panic in event of such manifestations. And she posts the history up here. But here's the interesting part about it. A 1-month supply often costs the patients between $200 and $800, with many reports of patients spending over $1,000 a month. That's why they're doing it. What's it cost you to put a pot with some dirt and a seed in it and grow your own damn plant? It costs you next to nothing. I looked up on a Canadian to get Rick Simpson oil in Canada. I can't do it, but I just wanted to look it up and find out what the cost was. For an entire treatment for my wife when she was alive, if I'd have gone the entire treatment that they talk about, would have cost me $1,800. Compared to spending $1,000 a month for their crap. It would have cost $1,800. And from everything that I have seen with Rick Simpson oil and cancer patients, they survived. Mine didn't because she couldn't get it. Then you have Syndrose, liquefied dronabinol. And last year, this is the one that I mentioned in my past video. After Incest Therapeutics contributed at least $500,000 to Arizona's successful anti-cannabis legislation. Well, of course they want it. They figured that they can. Right here, look at this right here. It is suggested that Syndrose could generate peak annual sales of up to $400 million. And they gave $500,000. It was a drop in the bucket to them. To make annual sales of $400 million. And Incest is also developing a cannabinoid CBD-based drug designed to treat severe pediatric epilepsy. Gee, why do you have to go and make a synthetic when we have it naturally in nature? I'll tell you a story I heard a long time ago. Man turned around, he was giving a lecture on synthetics and all of this when they were first coming out with GMOs and that. And he said in a lab they had taken water and they broke it down, and they manufactured synthetic water. He said if you analyzed both tanks, they were exactly identical. Except, if you put a fish in the synthetic water, it died. Well, that kind of had them confused. So what they did was they scooped out about a half a cup of regular water that they had, and they poured it in there, and then they dropped the fish in, and the fish just swam around, didn't die. And they couldn't figure it out because there was something that they couldn't find in water. Even though they broke it down, to the molecular level, and they knew exactly what they had. They couldn't quite make the same thing. That's why you have all these side effects. Because they don't make the same thing as nature. So anyhow, here we go again. Cisumat, a brand name for a I love these names. Why don't they just come out? It's a orally active man-made synthetic cannabinoid. In its raw form, it's white, off-white. Let's see, keep on following it down here. And here again, they have cautions with it. Possible changes in mood and other adverse behavioral effects may occur. Potential to abuse and produce psychological dependence. Oh, so let's get you hooked. Oh, and then here it is up in the top one here. Changes in mood, euphoria, detachment, depression, anxiety, panic, paranoia. We don't have enough paranoid people in this country. Confusion, unusual thoughts or behaviors, and hallucinations. And then they give you the history and the cost. A 1-month supply averages about $2,000 a month. Gee, you think there's a little incentive here to make things in a pharmaceutical environment? Make it synthetic? They don't care if they screw you up. All they care about is show me the money. Show me the money. That's all they care about. And if I've said this a number of times in other videos. You look at these school shootings where they have massive shootings, and then you find out that the shooter was on the specific drugs, and then go look up the drugs themselves and the possible side effects where you start seeing things exactly like what they're mentioning here. And what do they mention here? Detachment, depression, anxiety, panic, paranoia, confusion, unusual thoughts or behaviors, and hallucinations. A lot of the people that have these, where they do the mass shootings, are on drugs similar that give them the same type of changes in mood. Don't go blaming the gun. Blame the pharmaceuticals. And here they're doing even more, because they can't make profit off of cannabis like they can off of their man-made crap. But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been Ken for the Information Nation, bringing you more stuff. Subscribe if you can. Give us a thumbs up. Share the video with your friends on Facebook and Twitter and Google+. And remember, in the meantime, in between time, ain't we got fun? Have a nice day.